দিনে সামনে খুব গন্ডগোল হচ্ছে। কারণ কি একো হচ্ছে, মাইক এটাকে খুলে করতে বললে এটাই শুনতে পাচ্ছে না বললো, এটা খুলে যখন করছি তখন একো হচ্ছে। কিন্তু দেশের লোকজনও রয়েছে, 71 participants already.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my dear friends, dear colleagues, teachers, students, and all the participants from all over India and some from abroad. Today is the 5th day of our international workshop on research methodology in social science, jointly organized by Department of Education, Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya and Koilan College of Education. So today we have eminent speakers, two eminent speakers among us. One is Dr. Devasri Banerjee ma'am and second one is Dr. Shoidindi Sen ma'am. So our joint convener Shubhadeep Majumdar is going to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Devasri Banerjee ma'am. Shubhadeep, over to you.
Okay, Dr. Shur, once again, I would like to request you to urge all the participants to keep their microphones on mute.
Okay.
Otherwise, our words and the words of our resource persons will be lost in transmission. As you have already seen that there was a lot of reverberation going on when we were trying to get things together. So please urge the participants to keep their microphones on mute. And if you find that they are not abiding by what you are saying, since you are the host, I'm telling you this. If you find that they are reluctant to abide by what you are saying, please, for the smooth conduct of this workshop, it is imperative that you should remove them.
Okay. Dear participants, we are telling you repeatedly, we are requesting you repeatedly to mute all of you, because if you don't mute, it's truly very much problematic and disturbing to conducting the workshop, because it's difficult for the speakers to deliver their lectures. So I request all of you to mute yourself, because if you don't mute yourself, we will force to remove you. So please mute yourself. Okay, Shubhadeep sir, please continue.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shur. On behalf of Koilan College of Education and Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya, I welcome all of you to the 5th day of this international workshop on research methodology. As protocol demands, I should be introducing the speaker, but I think that I would use the platform for a different purpose altogether today before I call upon our first speaker. I hope every one of us would agree with what I'm going to say right now, that the present crisis that we are in, this has brought all systems of our society either to a crawl or to a standstill. but there is only one system which has withstood this pandemic, and it has refused to come to a halt. It has continued the way it had been going on before this crisis took over. In fact, the pace of it has increased in many aspects. School buildings, college buildings, they have closed down. But the process of education has continued and different dimensions have come into its fold. For example, this webinar concept evolved and it gained popularity because of this COVID-19, right? Uh, People who are oblivious to reality and people who have half-baked knowledge, they are under the impression that teachers are having an extended summer vacation. They are enjoying a holiday. Little do they realize that all teachers are trying to cope themselves with this new paradigm of transmitting facts or disseminating knowledge, that is using technology on a daily basis. And no government, no administration is going to ever light candles for us. No one is going to shower petals on us. Nobody is going to beat utensils for us. So we need to be self-motivated as teachers so that we are able to continue with the process of education without allowing this noble profession to come to a halt. Now, as I am talking about teachers, I would like to say that our next speaker, our first speaker for today, as far as credentials of a teacher are concerned, she ticks all the boxes. Okay, she is a stalwart in the field of education as well as teacher education. She is a professor of the Department of Education, University of Calcutta. Now, her academic and professional achievements are so vast that my words will never be able to do justice to her accomplishments. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible without destroying the essence of all her achievements. She is a research guide who has successfully guided almost 12 scholars to their doctoral thesis, doctoral degree. She is an eminent author who has written many books on education as well as teacher education. When it comes to seminars, conferences, both national and international, she is a very common face, and with her august presence, she lights up every seminar, every conference that she is a part of. And obviously, her papers, her discussions, the merit of her papers, I am not the one to speak about that because I feel dwarfed in her presence. I have had the privilege of working with her during the evaluation days, and I have learned a lot from her. So I am not the person to talk about her credentials, to talk about the merit of her papers, but she is someone who is a very popular figure in the field of teacher education when it comes to seminars and conferences. She is one of the first people who is approached. People call her up and say, please, you find some time to be a part of a seminar. And obviously, what she comes up with is pure gold. She is a member of different educational and literary societies, and I can keep on speaking about her, but I won't take up much of your time, ma'am. And I beg your pardon if I have not been able to do justice to your introduction. Please do forgive me. And it's all our pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to have Dr. Debushree Banerjee with us, because we are inching towards a conclusion. This is a 7-day workshop. We are inching towards a conclusion, but her presence on the 5th day is definitely going to make this learning experience a much bigger one. Over to you, Dr. Debushree Banerjee, but I would like to call Debushree ma'am.
Thank you, Shubhajit, for all your kind words. But I need to share the screen.
Yeah.
That has been blocked from that side.
No, in that case, ma'am, I think Dr. Shur, please make Devashree ma'am the host for this session. In that
Yes.
case, she will be able to share the screen.
Okay.
All that you need to do is make Dr. Devashree Banerjee the host for the first session of this workshop.
And even
Okay.
my camera, I don't know whether you all can see me or not, but here my video
Yes, we
has
can
been
see.
crossed. Okay, okay, you all
We
can
can
see me, but I
see
can't see
you
myself.
are looking very nice.
No, no, thank you. I don't need that.
As sweet as ever.
You are allowed to share. Ma'am, please check.
Yeah, can I share the screen now? Let's see.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Just a minute. Uh, just a second, please.
Okay.
I will have to. Is it visible? Hello?
Not
Ma'am,
yet.
it's
Not yet.
yet to appear on the screen.
Just a
It's yet to
minute.
appear.
Just, I'll again have to. This is the problem with technology a little bit.
Ma'am, if any problem from your side, you can send the PPT to me.
How do I send it?
Just a
And
second,
mail.
just a second. Dr. Shur, I think you have made the wrong person the co-host. Actually, there is a namesake of Dr. Devashree Banerjee in our webinar today. I think you have made her the co-host
Wait, let me check.
because ma'am has signed in only with her first name. Ma'am has signed only with her first name.
No, no, I'm signed with Devashree Banerjee.
But ma'am, you have signed with.
Okay,
But
it's Devashree. Right,
what is
right, right, right.
right.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So you need to make ma'am the co-host. Otherwise, ma'am won't be able to share the screen. Yes, ma'am. Now you are the
Yes,
co-host. You
now.
will be able to
Yes,
share the
yes,
screen.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Just a second. Why isn't it coming?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you all see anything?
Yes, now it is visible.
Uh, okay.
But it
But I,
seems you will be giving a presentation on Dr. Shamusri Shur.
no, 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 it's not visible. That means I'm sorry. I think I'll send it to Shamusri.
Okay, mail, please send me in mail.
Ma'am, what is that file? Is it a PowerPoint or a PDF?
A
What is it?
PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, in that case, ma'am, I would request you to convert it into PDF and send it to Dr. Shur because that would be easier for you to present it.
No,
While
no, PDF is difficult
Okay,
because I have some animations done over there.
Good afternoon, Shubhadeep. This is Pratita. And
yes,
ma'am,
Pratita ji.
ma'am, good afternoon. This is Pratita.
Yes, good afternoon.
Ma'am, please send it to me or Shamasri. I will be doing the sharing.
Okay, okay. Just I'll take a minute. I'll send it to
Okay,
Shamusri.
no problem, no problem.
Okay, okay.
Shamasri, have you got it?
Let me check.
Mixed methodology in social sciences.
Wait, ma'am, just 1 second.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am, I got, but just wait.
Okay. Shamasri, I have signed in as Devostri
Yes, ma'am.
Banerjee. I don't know why there are two Devostris here.
Oh.
Anyway,
I think there is a namesake, ma'am.
okay, maybe. Because here they are showing me in the participant list Devostri Banerjee and me in the bracket.
Oh.
But when we are seeing you on screen, when we are
Yes,
seeing
it's
your
just
video,
Devostri. I don't know.
it's just
There has been
Devostri.
some change, maybe. It doesn't matter. Is the
You are
PowerPoint?
signed in as Devostri, only Devostri. Because you have so it's you only Devostri.
Okay, doesn't matter as long as my PowerPoint can be shown.
Yes. Just 1 minute, it will be shown.
This is actually poetic justice, ma'am. I tried to economize on time.
Yes.
I had been very, very brief about your achievements and
No, it's fine.
credentials.
No.
But I think that I should have actually spoken in detail about all your achievements.
No. I feel my achievement is when my students are really doing well. That is the best achievement for a teacher.
I know that's your
So-
greatest achievement.
So
When you look behind, you have a team of brilliant teachers and scholars. So that's your
Right.
greatest achievement. I know that, ma'am.
and I do remember the days we used to do all our corrections at College Street. So I believe that
Yeah.
was an achievement because you all still remember me.
And that was indeed something very gratifying because it was a learning experience for all of us.
For us too.
There-
For all of
there-
us.
Right.
there were-
Shubhadev
You
sir,
were-
ma'am
Yes.
was my external examiner in my final Viva, PhD Viva at
Okay.
University of Kalyani. I am grateful to ma'am.
No, it's fine. Is it possible to upload the PPT?
Yes, we are just trying over it.
This is the problem with technology, Like in a seminar, it's
Yes.
easier to control the
The
situation.
screen is now being shared.
Yes. But nothing
Yes,
can be
ma'am,
seen.
now available.
But nothing can be seen. Wait. Yes. Right. So today, can I operate? No. You will only have to operate. So
we
next,
have to update. You have
Yes,
to
yes.
say next and
Yes,
wait for
next.
4-5 seconds.
Okay.
Next.
See, as the schedule goes, today I'm going to discuss on mixed methodology in social sciences. And mixed method is right now the in thing. Shamasri, could you go to the next one, please?
Yes.
And as the name goes, we can understand from the name itself that mixed means that it is a combination of both quantitative and qualitative research approaches. I'm sure you all have already discussed on the quantitative and qualitative approaches. So mixed method is nothing but a combination of these two. Next, please. And if we just look at one of the definitions, we'll find that here there is a team of researchers who combine the elements of qualitative and quantitative approach. That is, you have both the approaches taken together. And I personally believe, this is one of the best ways of doing it because you can understand the extent and the depth of the whole situation, the study. So as we proceed, you will understand why I am really supporting this mixed method. Next, please. See, if we look at any study, see, if we look at qualitative as a strand and quantitative as a strand, in mixed method, what happens is both of them are combined together. So the two strands get together and they weave the research work properly. Next, please. Next. Next. Since we are talking about qualitative and quantitative, I'll just touch a bit of quantitative research. Next. Shamashri, next. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Just
The
wait for
philosophical underpinning is positivism and post-positivism. And what that is, we'll discuss a little bit later. It is again based on deductive logic. And we all know quantitative research is based on data, numerical data, where we have numbers. And usually we have the associated terms like survey research, probability research. Shamashri, next, please.
yes.
Yes. And we have the experimental and quasi-experimental designs there. As I was saying, it's positivism and post-positivism. What does positivism actually stress on? The goal of knowledge is simply to describe the phenomena that we experience. So positivism says that there is nothing which cannot be explained, but you have to explain and describe that only if you have the experience of it. So you cannot just come out of the blue and say this may happen, this has happened due to intuition. Those are not really workable in positivism. Next, please. Now, as we know, and when we are talking about quantitative research, mainly scientific research, pure science stresses on quantitative research, where they want to stick to whatever is observable and measurable. So anything beyond observation and measurement, according to quantitative research, is impossible. And they believe that in order to have any study that we want to do, we have to observe and measure it, because only then it is going to be objective and it is going to be scientific. So the key approach over here is experimentation and manipulation of the observation. So you have to observe and state according to it. That is what positivism stresses on. Next, please. Next. Yes. Now, if we think of post-positivism, as the name goes, it is post. So they actually reject the central tenets of positivism. According to them, when you are trying to reason with common sense, that is also a kind of reasoning. It's not just scientific. Whatever you observe and measure, anything that is measurable is definitely important, but anything beyond that is also important. So according to them, the degree, it is just a degree that matters. There's no difference in kind between the two, whether you are looking at it through reason or through observation. Next. And one of the most common forms of post-positivism is critical realism. Well, we need not go into this too much because we are not going to deal with quantitative research. Next. Next. When we were talking of deductive reasoning, now what happens in deductive reasoning is, it is a top-down theory where you have the theory first. You, based on the theory, you make an hypothesis, you make some observations, and then you confirm the theory. So it is more from general to a more specific end. So this is what quantitative research stresses on. Next. Next, coming to qualitative. Next, please. We all know more or less that it is based on constructivism. That is, inductive logic is more important. We'll come to it. And here, it is not numbers that really matter so much. It is a textual or pictorial representation that is important, pictorial representation. And associated with this, we know we have the grounded theory, the ethnological studies, the case studies, and here the sampling is mainly purposive sampling. Next. Next, please. Okay. Now, in quantitative research, this was deductive reasoning. Now, this is inductive reasoning. What happens in inductive reasoning is, first you observe, you look into the pattern. Based on the pattern, you have an hypothesis, well, this is what we actually see, and you form a theory. So it is moving from specific observation to broader generalization. It is just the opposite of the quantitative research or deductive reasoning. Okay, next. Next, please. Shomasri? Yes. Though we know this is just a recap. What does case study do? It tries to study a single case or maybe a group of individual persons or maybe an institution. Next. And grounded theory is being really discussed a lot these days. This is a very important part of qualitative research, where the theory is developed from the data that is obtained from participant observation. Okay, next. And ethnography, as we know, it's a kind of case study where we stick to a particular socio-cultural phenomena, okay, and a particular community. So it's a very specific type of case study. Next. Now let's come to the actual point, the mixed method. Next. Okay. Now, as we see, mixed method takes into account both. Okay, they look into the philosophy of the quantitative research and the qualitative research. So they are more pragmatic in nature. And they use both the deductive and the inductive reasoning part. And here we find, since it is mixed, we find that the data is represented numerically as well as through text or through pictures. And we usually have, just as in quantitative research, we have various types. In qualitative research, we have various types. Even in mixed methodology, we have different types of mixed method. For example, the concurrent or the parallel form, the sequential mixed design, the triangulation part, and the data conversion, inference quality, different types. And we'll just discuss some of the important ones right now. Next. Okay, now, as usual, there will be some people who are very much against mixed method, the Puritans. And they say that there is a fundamental difference between the quantitative and qualitative approaches. So how do you mix it up? It's not possible to mix them up. Next. Okay. But what we find is, if it is, as we stated, that mixed methodology is more pragmatic in nature. So they believe the best way to answer a research question is to apply both. See, we all know in quantitative research, we take a huge data maybe, and we try to state a hypothesis, which we either nullify or we stick to it, accept the hypothesis, and but we really don't go into the depth of it. But when we think of qualitative research, what happens is you really try to find out why this is taking place. The best part of mixed method is you find out the reason along with whatever we see in our quantitative research. Next. Some people have stated that mixed method is like nuts and bolts. When you have just qualitative or just quantitative, it is not really very comprehensive and complete. But because see, without the nuts, the bolts are of no use. So mixed method is like combining both, and it is more useful in the sense that it contributes more to society, to the theory, to the learning theory. Next. Okay. Now, the people who support this mixed methodology, they say that since the data is collected both in qualitative and quantitative forms, it is more rigorous and it is framed epistemologically as well as theoretically. And how do we mix it? It's not just a haphazard way of studying. There is a fixed order, it is sequentially ordered, and we try to merge these two and then come to a conclusion. Now, where we are actually merging them and where we are trying to separate it is what determines the kind of mixed method that we are going to discuss. Next. Okay. As I said a little bit, just before 2 or 3 slides, that the best part of a mixed method is that it is a combination of both. So it tries to take the two strands together and completes the whole strand. It's like, a cloth. You have this threads which are taken together, and you have a big cloth, which is weaved. So the best part of it is, it's not just the strands that we look into, we try to weave a cloth from it. Next. Next, please. Okay. Now, there are certain research questions that we can really go in for mixed method. That is when we are trying to, when a theory is developed and we try to follow that, when we have the grounded concepts, and we are trying to evaluate studies for better understanding. For example, suppose we see that we find that boys are more motivated to study than girls. Now, this can come out from a quantitative research, but why is it happening? Why are boys more motivated? So if we really want to think of those, then we have to, or if we really want to find out why the specific result has come out, then we can move over to qualitative research. So we have actually, one is trying to complement the other. Next. Next, please. Okay. Now, the designs, how do they vary? It depends on where the interaction takes place. Which strand or which type of research are we giving more emphasis on? It may be more of quantitative, less of qualitative, or more of qualitative and less of quantitative. And when are we trying to merge it, as I stated right now? Where do we, like during interpretation, are we trying to merge it, or during data analysis, or during data collection? So it is very important to see how we can merge it. It should not be just for the sake of it. Next. Okay. Now these are the types of mixed method. Convergent parallel, the names to somewhat will tell you what it is, but I'll explain it a bit more. Explanatory sequential or exploratory sequential, embedded, and triangulation. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. In convergent parallel design, what happens is quantitative and qualitative strands, they take place parallelly, and equal importance is given to both the strands. And what we do is later on we try to merge it, which we'll see in the next slide. Strands, they take place parallel. Next slide, please. Is given to both the strands. And what we do is later on we try to merge it. Next. Next. Yes. So we find that there is the qualitative data collection and the quantitative data collection. We do the qualitative data analysis and the quantitative data analysis separately first. Next. Then what we try to do is we try to compare and relate it, and After doing that, we come to the interpretation or meta-inference. So this is the convergent parallel. Why is it called convergent parallel? Initially it is parallel and then it comes and converges, where we try to compare the two findings and relate it. Next. Next slide, please. Next is explanatory sequential. See, we are trying to explain it. So first, it is the quantitative data that we collect. We then move over to qualitative analysis and we try to interpret the results. Let's look at the next slide. I think it's going to be clearer. So first, the quantitative data collection is made and the analysis is also made here, which is again followed up with, next please, the qualitative data collection and analysis. Next. Which is again followed up with the meta-analysis. Next, please. The interpretation or meta-analysis. The example that I gave you right now. So first it is the quantitative data that was collected. Then we try to see why that has taken place. For that, we go into qualitative data collection and analysis, and then we follow that up with interpretation. Next. Next slide. So now we come to the next one, that is the exploratory sequential. Here first the qualitative data is collected and interpreted, and then we try to see whether that is true for the mass to the quantitative analysis. Next. It is just the opposite of the previous one. That is, first we try to collect the qualitative data, we try to analyze that. Building on that, we have quantitative data. Next. Next, please. It's stuck up. Yes. Next. And from that, again, we try to come to the interpretation. The next one is the embedded one, where, as the name goes, qualitative and quantitative are embedded into each other. So maybe more of qualitative, less of quantitative, or more of quantitative and less of qualitative. Let's see. Next one. See, here, if the qualitative is more, the quantitative will be less, and otherwise, if the qualitative is more, that is, it's more of qualitative analysis that we want to do, a little bit of quantitative data that we collect and we try to analyze, which can take place before, during, or after. So it is a little bit deviated from the previous two slides that we have seen. Next. And based on this, we again come to our interpretation of meta-inference. Okay. Next. Now, as the name goes, triangulation, that is like a knot, you know, like both are entangled with each other. So we try to interpret the data by taking into account both. Next. Next, yes. Now, these designs can be of multi-phases. See, it may be over time. Suppose we conduct a study which is quantitative in nature, and it's not necessary that we take the qualitative data right there and then. It can be maybe after a few years, we try to see why did it happen then. So again, we follow that up. So it can take place over some time with some common purpose. And though it is usually health, right now we are talking so much of health sciences, so it may take place in the health sciences, but even it is important in our educational field. And what usually takes place in educational field is a convergent sequential elements. That is, either we follow up the qualitative with quantitative or the quantitative with qualitative. Very really, we also try to do the parallel form where we try to converge at a point. Okay, next. Now, how do we plan the mixed method? Next, please. Next, yes. Now, usually what we really need to do is we have to realize whether the strands that we are taking, strand means the quantitative or qualitative part that we are thinking of, whether the strategy is appropriate or not. What do we mean by the strategy? Whether we are going into the parallel form, or are we taking the exploratory explanatory or the explanatory exploratory. Whatever it is, we have to decide beforehand. So the balance has to be there. And that depends on what our goal is. What is our objective of the study? What our hypothesis is? And based on it, we have to decide on the kind of mixed methodology that we want to use. Next, please. Okay. As I hope, while going through all these, I have been able to convince you all that this method is it is very advantageous because it has both the qualitative and the quantitative research methods embedded into it. So it gives a very a complete picture of what we want to find out. It's not just there is a difference or this is better than this, but why is it better can be answered through qualitative research and through mixed methodology. It's going to be a complete whole. Next. Actually, when we are talking right now, we are talking a lot about sustainable development and sustainability in education. So if we look at sustainable development from various angles, mixed method is the best part because it is explanatory also in nature. It explores and it explains. Next. And right now, again, if we look at our social sciences, it is more of interdisciplinary research that is being stressed on. So as the different disciplines have their own methodology, so mixed method can really combine the disciplines, like the quantitative, say for example, history, a subject like history can lay more stress on qualitative research and sociology may be laying more stress on quantitative research. But if we try to combine these, interdisciplinary research will prefer to use mixed methodology because there you are giving equal weightage to both the quantitative and qualitative research methodologies. Next, please. And that is what I was trying to say right now, that since each discipline has its own methodology, mixed method will do justice by giving respect to different methods, but again, trying to synchronize the two methods together and coming to a conclusion. Next. Thank you. So I'll go in for the questions that may have come over.
Thank you, ma'am. Have you completed your presentation?
Yes, Shamastri, I didn't get you.
Okay. Have you completed your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Now it is open for question answer session. It's open to you. You can come front and question, or you can write your question in chat box also. Dear participants, please come front with your questions.
I hope people have some questions.
Let me check if there are any question in the chat box.
No.
Momita Devnath, please come forward. Momita, please unmute yourself and please come. You have raised your hand.
I think I can see there is one question over here by Shajol Ghosh. Is it possible to apply mixed method in all types of research?
Yes.
Not really. That is why I will stress on the fact that each and every subject has its own methodology. Uh, but right now, social science is moving towards mixed methodology.
Another question, ma'am, from Tina Sharma. Mixed
Yes.
methodology is difficult and lengthy too. Is it true?
No, not at all, not at all. Because if you're going in for the parallel form, uh, parallel convergent form, the time, I don't know why you're calling it lengthy. In that case, the time frame would be somewhat similar to whatever you want to do in a quantitative research. So it will not be lengthy, but it is definitely much more informative if you go in for it.
Okay. Now next question is how for mixed research helps for social science method? How far? I think
I
it will be
think I
how
did
far?
discuss that, how it helps. Because see, if it is a social science research, social science I'm talking about, not any specific subject, then we want to get a whole picture of the of our problem. In that case, quantitative research may not be an in-depth one. Qualitative is an in-depth study in that case. So mixed method will give you a true picture. Both it looks at the surface as well as it delves into the depth of it.
Hmm. Okay.
Why quantitative research is considered as deductive method? I
Yes.
believe my slide would have explained it, I hope. Okay, somebody, Shubroto, wants to know, please explain the term triangulation. Triangulation is like forming a knot. Okay, so when both are going, say first maybe you are doing a little bit of quantitative, going in for qualitative, again you are switching over to quantitative, so they go side by side together. And it's not like the parallel form where you are doing the scoring and analysis totally separately, but here they are totally intermingling into each other.
Next
So,
question is
yes.
Make a matrix from any mixed method research study. What is meant by term matrix?
I have gone through a question where it was asked to make a matrix from any mixed method research study. What is meant by the term matrix? I believe when you want to move over to quantitative or qualitative, or how, where, for example, is it during data collection, or is it when you want to mix it up, or is it during your analysis, or during maybe the scoring? So that is what I believe they wanted to know.
Okay.
What is
Another
the
question
difference between
from
explanatory and exploratory sequential? I wish I could go back to the slide. See, explanatory is first you have quantitative, then you are trying to explain it through qualitative research. In exploratory, first you have the qualitative, and then you try to see whether it is true for the majority or not. Can we use mixed method for action research? First, you have to realize what action research is. Action research is when you have a specific problem which you're trying to solve. So here, it is mainly qualitative that we go into. Yes, you can try, why not? Piali Ghosh wanted to know this.
one question from Subhash Mandi. Difference between convergent parallel design and triangulation method.
Okay. See, in convergent parallel form, as if you remember the animation that I had done, in that you have the qualitative and quantitative running parallelly to each other. That means you are not mixing it up right there and then. You take the data, you score it separately, you try to analyze it, and then you try to explain it, taking the two together, taking the analysis together. That is the parallel form, the convergent parallel form. But in case of the results together and you're trying to see whether it is making any sense or not, or whether you can explain or answer the questions or not. Does that satisfy Subhash Mandi?
Yes, he had written thank you.
Okay,
That
thank
means
you.
okay. Any other question? You can also come from unmute yourself and you can ask also. Any one of you?
Uh, Thank you, madam.
Yes,
Hello.
please.
Hello. Yeah, yeah. Madam, yes, there is always a myth or saying that social science research is mostly subjective. So whether this
Obhijit,
myth
can you
or
please type it? I can't hear you. Your voice is cracking. Can you just type it in the inbox?
yeah, yeah. Madam, can you listen, madam, now? Yes, madam. Hello.
Hello?
Repeat.
Okay. My
You are
question was that we have a conception, misconception that social sciences are always subjective. That is, the influence of subject is more. Now, by introducing this quantitative research more in social sciences, can you reduce this allegation that social science is also more scientific, like other scientific research? Number one. Number two, is there any chances that in quantitative research also the influence of subject is there, or it is totally logical, scientific, and independent of the person? Thank you, madam.
I could hardly hear him. Can you please repeat it once?
first. He told there is a misconception that social science is subjective. Can social science be dealt with scientifically? This was his first question, and second question I could not really heard actually.
Okay, first let me go to the first question. Now, in social science, it is not just history, education, sociology. We have economics in social science too. We have psychology in social science too. And if we think of economics, there is so much of quantitative research going on in economics also. So yes, we can go in for quantitative research in social science. Why not? And the second question, would you repeat it?
Madam, hello, madam.
Yes, Abhijit,
Yes,
please.
madam. Is there any chance that in quantitative researchers also
Abhijit, please write
the
because I
sub?
can't get you at all. Please type it if
Oh, okay, thank
possible.
you.
Okay.
Ma'am, there are questions from YouTube Live also. Those who
Okay,
are
good.
watching YouTube Live, how to conduct review of literature in mixed research?
Review of literature has nothing to do with the methodology right now, right? Review is when you're trying to see how people have worked on it. So in mixed method, you are going to go through mixed method or quantitative or qualitative really doesn't have an impact on your review. When you're talking about review of literature, you're trying to see what other people have already done in that area. So I really don't understand your question as to how mixed method can have an impact on review.
Yes, right.
So
Another question, which methodology is ideal for a researcher who wants research in constitutional education?
constitutional education. What does it mean by constitutional education? How much people know about the constitution?
Even I am not also sure about what is the meaning of
I
constitutional
I would
education.
like to get a more, some more information on what he means by this. Then I think it's going to be easier for me to answer.
I think, ma'am, it will be a survey type research, constitutional education.
It is going to be a
Survey method is actually is needed for
no.
constitutional.
If
How,
I don't know, it can be both. If he wants to see how much people know about the constitution, it can be a survey method. If he wants to study the different constitutions and want to see how the constitutions were framed or how they are working, then it can go into descriptive research where he's trying to look into the studies into the constitutions itself. So it will be
even
more of a
the
qualitative
if,
research.
even the constitutional phenomena, if it's going to be researched, then it can also case study also.
Yeah, it can. It can be.
Yes. So the question is not clear. What is meant by constitutional education? Anyway, I think the question answer session almost completed. So thank you, ma'am, for your nice
Thank
and
you.
brief deliberation. about the mixed research method. You have delivered in lucid language with good examples and right explanation. You have answered all the queries of the participants as well. So thank you, ma'am. Please be with us for the next 1 hour, because I'm going to introduce our next speaker,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Shoirindri Sen, in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. Shomastri,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe my camera has been switched on from your side,
Uh,
because can the camera be switched off? I'll be there.
okay, I'm trying. Let me do it.
Okay, thank you. I'm there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, let me introduce. Yes, Dr. Sohendri Sen is MA in English from University of Calcutta, then B.Ed and M.Ed from University of Calcutta. She was also gold medalist in M.Ed. She has done PhD in education from University of Calcutta under the guidance of our Debasri ma'am, none other than our respected beloved Debasri ma'am. She has over 18 years of work experience. Presently, she is working as assistant professor in English as method subject in Gopal Chandra Memorial College of Education. Prior to that, she worked as principal in Kamala Devi Sohan Raj Singhi Jain College of Education. She has worked as full-time assistant professor in English in Shama Prasad Institute of Education and Training. She has worked as part-time lecturer in Vidyasagar College for Women, Shama Prasad College, and Shama Prasad Institute of Technology and Management. She has worked as guest faculty in Jadavpur Vidyapeeth College of Education, and she has also worked as an academic counselor for IGNOU. So we are very pleased to introduce such an eminent personality among us. We are very much enriched. I like to invite Dr. Shoirindri Sen ma'am for our next presentation. Ma'am?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me? Am I
yes,
audible?
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes. A very good evening to all of you. I'm extremely delighted to be a part of this workshop. And I am also very happy because I'm a part of a workshop where I was just preceded by my ma'am, and who's my guide, and in all senses of the term. So now, my topic for today is a very pertinent topic. That is how to prepare online questionnaires. Now, for that, I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to show you the procedure of how to do that. So I please insist that all of you follow my explanations, and please keep your video switched off, and please keep yourself muted, because otherwise you'll not get the full view of the screen. So this is going to be very helpful for you, because now we are following mostly online surveys, and surveys are made much more simple and much more easy when we make it on an online mode. So now I would just try to share my screen, if I may. Just let me try to do that. I just try to share my screen. Yes, I'm trying to share my screen. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Yes. Okay. Is it visible to all of you?
Ma'am,
Is it
yes, ma'am.
visible? Everybody can see my screen? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now I'm
Fully
going
visible.
to make this explanation. Uh, I think my voice is echoing. So I please request everyone to be on mute, because otherwise it's going to be a continuous process. So if you do not stay on mute, you will miss the explanations in between. This is a step-by-step process. So if you miss the explanation, it's going to be a little difficult for you. So
All of you are requested to mute yourself because it's very disturbing for the speaker to deliver a lecture. Please, all of you, please mute all of you.
yeah, just a minute, just a minute. Why are so many windows coming about? Why are so many windows coming about? I'm not understanding.
Oh,
Why is it? Yes, I think it's all right now. Is it okay? I'll share the screen once again.
Please, ma'am, please do it once again.
Okay, just a minute. Where is it gone? Is it visible? Yes.
Yes, now it is visible. But again,
Yes, it's fine. It's visible. Is it visible to everybody?
yes, yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Now I'm sharing the full screen.
Okay, ma'am.
Sharing the full screen. Why is it not coming? Just a minute. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me start my presentation. Okay. Now, we are here uh, to prepare the Google Forms through online mode. So what we do first is, let's see, we start from the beginning. Yeah. So now we just go into the Google browser, and then we have to log into our Gmail ID. We go to the Google browser and we type Google Forms. And from there, we are going to just get this, when we type, we get this free online surveys for personal use. So we just click on that. Make sure that you are logged into your ID, Gmail ID. And so you just click on this Google Forms, free online surveys for personal use. Remember that, that is one method of accessing the Google form. When you click on that, you get two options. One is personal, and the other one is business and G Suite. Now, G Suite is for business organizations, and that is not meant for us. We are concerned with the personal one, and so we shall go to that, and we'll click on Go to Google Forms, and we just click on that, and we see that the interface appears. Now we click on this plus sign over here, and our Google form will open. Now, the second way we can access it is by going to our Google Drive. And from the drive, we have to click on My Drive. And then we click on More. From there, more. And then we get this option of Google Forms. We click on Google Forms. Yes, and so now our Google form has opened. Now, this is our Google form. This is the interface. Now, what we do with this is, the first thing we do is, this is an untitled form, so we give it a title. Okay. So what is the title? That is usually the title of your survey is your, or your research is your title. So let's give it as Survey on Study Habits of Children. Just provisionally, I'm just giving it as study on the survey on the study habits of children. Now below that there are portions where we can give instructions or form description. There we can write what this research is about, or we can just give them a few instructions. Say for example, all questions are compulsory. All questions are compulsory. And yes, yes, and your answers will be kept confidential. As you know that it's ethical on the part of the researcher to keep all the respondents' responses confidential. So your answers will be kept confidential. You can add whatever instructions you want on this page, right? So that goes with that. Now we click on the top left part after we've given the instructions. Let's go to the top left where it's written untitled form. As soon as we click on that, we get the same title, and now our file has received a name. So it's very important to give your file a name, otherwise it remains untitled. All right. Now, before adding the questions, let us first go to the right hand side and see. From here we can add questions. This is a plus sign. We can add questions. This is to import questions. That is, if you've already created a questionnaire before, you can just copy the questions and import it here. Now, next we go to the third option. That is to add title and description. Here we add title and description. We can add image. We can add a video. And this is to add a section just below that. Now, adding a section, as you know, when we prepare questionnaires, we usually add it, prepare it in different sections. For example, personal information, occupational information, or maybe research-based information. So we put them, different categories of questions are put under different sections. So here we just give them different sections, okay? So that's how we first create sections, and we put questions within the sections. Now, after this, let's move on top of the page. Yeah, this is a question page, and this is the responses. When we click on this, we get nothing over here because we've not yet distributed the questionnaire. So as soon as we get responses, we can click here and see the responses. This part is to customize the theme, which we're going to do later on. I'll tell you, explain everything to you. This is a preview part where you, after you prepare it, you just have a look at it. This is the settings where we can adjust the settings. And then we have, yeah, we can adjust the send option from where we can circulate the questionnaire. Right. Now let's do something. Let's add a section to this. Now the first thing that we do is we add a section. Right. Now, what's our section? Let's presume that our first section is personal information. That's usually what we do in case of questionnaires. We give them first the personal information part. So we can give descriptions below that, or we can give instructions further below that also. So next, what we do is we click on, after we type the questions, now we have to click on and include the questions. We can have different types of questions, short answer type, multiple choice type. I'll explain one by one. So the first one which I add here is the short answer type question, the name. That's the first and obvious thing. Now the Google automatically takes it as a short answer type question. If it's a 2 to 3 words or maybe one sentence, and we make it a required question, that is, it's a mandatory question. It's the most important one. I mean, it's important in the sense that it's mandatory, and it is you cannot submit it unless all the mandatory questions are answered. Okay. Now we add one more question to this. This is the second question. We add the age. Now here, for the age, we can give it as a short answer type question, and see, look here, they have mentioned that we can give it in the form of numbers. Okay, like if somebody puts in an exact number, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, we can do that, right? So that is an exact number. So we can give it as a short answer type question, or else what we can do it, we can also give it in the form of a multiple choice question. How can we do that? We click here. Now we give them options. Say, for example, we give 5 to 10 years. As the first option we give, 5 to 10 years. And let's give 11 to 15 years. We are not moving any further because we've already overstepped childhood. We've already gone into adolescence. So let's not move any further. But better is, if you want an exact age, we just remove this multiple choice type, because that gives you a tentative age. So if you want the exact age, let's make it a short answer type question and get the exact age. So we just delete these options which we've given. I just showed you that there are different alternatives. So we delete this option and we type short answer. So it automatically takes in as a short answer type question. Right. Now we make it a required question. Now next what we do is we add one more question to this. That is, for that matter, let's enter gender. We can make it a multiple choice question or a drop down type of question, anything we can do. Let's add the options, male and female. And let's make it a required question. Right? Now, we add one more question. Okay. Now let's add name of school if you want that. It's just provisional. I'm just giving you an example. So name of school can be added. That's a short answer type. See, it's artificial intelligence. It takes it as as short answer type. So we make it required. The next section is type of school. Let's make this a multiple choice type of question. The first option here is, let's say, government. It's government school. Government aided school. I guess somebody has unmuted. Please, everybody please mute. Yeah. The third option is private. The fourth, let's make it a required question.
Please mute yourself. I cannot mute Yusuf Ali.
Next we have this, let us add one more, that is option, that is sibling. Let's make it sibling. Sibling means if the child has brothers or sisters, okay? Own brothers or sisters. So let's make it a multiple choice type of question. And we can say none. We can say 1 or 2. Or instead of 3, we can also write more than 2. So let's make it that way. Let's make it more than 2. Okay. Now, it's raining over here. I hope I'm audible to you. All right. So now we've see the questions, they have been arranged accordingly, and there are asterisk marks. That means these are mandatory questions. All right. So we may add the address or whatever. Let's add one more question. Let's add, for example, we can add the class. Okay. Let's add one more question, the class. Now here we have, let's enter class. And let's make it a short answer type question. And let's make it a required question. Right? So now our personal information is more or less completed. Now, some respondents might want to keep their names anonymous. In that sense, if you are giving them that option, make sure that you don't make the name question mandatory. Now, all questions that are created over here, they are very happily and merrily, they are saved in the Google Drive. So you don't have to save it every time. They get auto updated and auto saved in the Google Drive. And you can access them at any point of time from anywhere if you access your Google Drive. Now, we can also save them in the form of, a folder, right? There's a folder where, like, suppose in the drive, we create a folder like all questionnaires. So it will automatically go over there. So we can just organize them in our drive, right? Now let's add a new section. We've completed the personal information. This is done. Now let's add a new section. Now, for example, let's name it as test items. You can name it any way you please, right? Test items. Let's add a question to that. There are different types of options. Now I'll explain one by one each type, right? So short answer type question I have already done before. As you know, there are 2-3 words or maybe 1 sentence answers. So to include personal information, we've done that. So and I've also told you that mandatory ones are marked with an asterisk to show that they are compulsory. Now let's add, we can add a short answer type question, one more short answer type question over here, or maybe let's make it a point. Okay, this is the required part. As you know, just one more thing I need to tell you before I go to the type. There are some options below which I need to tell you. This is the part where you make the question required. Okay, know these things. I didn't make it required, that former question, you know, that siblings one, I didn't make it required. So I've made it required now. So we make it compulsory. That's a required question. This is where you duplicate a question. That is, you want the same type of question just beneath that. So you just click on that, a similar type of question comes down. And this is to delete a question. Right. Now let's come back to the test items. Let's add the first test item to this. Now, let's make it a drop down type. Let's first try a drop down question. Okay. A very pertinent question which most children will like. Let's type, do you like to study? I guess that's a very popular question. Let's begin with that. So we give them options. What are the options? Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And option 3, sometimes. In a drop-down type of question, as you know, it comes below and you can choose from any one of the options given. So let's make it a required question. Now we add one more question. This time, let's make a multiple choice question. Multiple choice question, where different options are given and you can choose any one of them. Let's type the question. How long can you study at a time? Right. So let's give them options. Let's say 15 minutes. 30 minutes. 45 minutes. 1 hour. Or more than 1 hour. Right. So they can select any one from there. Right. So this is done. Now we make it a required question. We add one more type of question. Let's add a checkbox. Now let's first add the question. Now, as you know, in a checkbox type of question, you can choose more than one option, which you can't do in case of a drop down or a multiple choice. So our question over here is, who helps you with your studies? This is a question. Now, we kind of give it in the form of a checkbox because it can be, the child can choose more than one option in this case, which you cannot do in case of multiple choice or a drop down. You can do it in case of checkbox. Now let's give the options. Now, if we give the options, we can get, let's see the options. Now, the first option that we give here, let's check it out. Let's see my mother. There's some sound coming over here. My mother, it's all right, fine, it's all right, it's solved. My mother, my father, let's have the second option. My tutor, my school teachers, no one. Okay. Now the respondents can click on as many options, like it can be the mother, father, tutor, teacher, anybody helping, or maybe nobody helping. So you just give them a chance to click on as if more than one option if they prefer. So that's where we use checkboxes, right? So we make that a required question. Now let's move on to the next type of question. This time we give a paragraph type of question. Now, what's a paragraph type of question? It's usually an open-ended question where the answer may be of 3 to 4 sentences or more. And here, yes, it's an open-ended question. So the person can write whatever the person wants. There's no limited response given over there to choose from. So let's type the question. For example, we write, if you were given an opportunity, if you were given an opportunity, what change would you bring? What change would you bring in your school? In your school. We are not writing school system because the child is too small to understand the school system. Let's just mention the school. So keep in mind for whom you are giving the you're making the questionnaire. We're making it a required question, right? Now let's create one more type of question. This time we make a linear scale type of question. Let's see, linear scale. Now, linear scale type of question is more like a Likert scale type of question, wherein we are given options, say from, like different scales, 5-point scale, 7-point scale. See, here we have up to 10-point scale also, right? Say, for example, strongly agree, agree, disagree, or maybe excellent, very good, good, average, poor, very poor. So we can choose any one that we can prefer. So that's a Likert scale type of question that we have. So over here, we select the 5-point scale. Right, now 5-point scale, we give the first option, let's see, as strongly disagree and strongly disagree, and the second option as strongly agree. Now these are the two extremes. Now when we give the two extremes, the whatever comes in the middle is automatically taken in by the artificial intelligence of Google. Now we type the question. Let's type the question. Studying online has helped me. Let's make it very simple. Studying online has helped me. Studying online has helped me. Okay. Now we can make it a required question. It's Likert scale. Let's add one more type of question. This time we add a multiple choice grid. Now what's a multiple choice grid? Sounds difficult. Here we have rows and columns where you have to enter different information in the rows, under the rows and under the columns. Now it's a little more complicated, but not so much. Now let's first type the question so that you understand what kind of questions come under multiple choice grid. Okay. Let's type the question. What do you feel about the following? What do you feel about the following? Now, under the rows portion, we just give online classes. Online classes. That's right. Then we have exams. Then we have projects. Now we have co-curricular activities. And let's have homework as our last option. Right. Now we have to fill in the columns. The rows part is done. Now the columns. Now columns, as you know, we are just pay heed to the question. What do you feel about the following? Let's change this terminology. Let's make it think. What do you think about the following? Right. So what is the child's opinion about these? So here under the columns part, let's give two options. I like and I dislike. Very simple. Let's make it simple, right? I like, I dislike. Right. Now let's make it a required question. This is now a required question. Yeah. Now this is done. Now we move on to the next variety of questions. This is a checkbox grid. Checkbox grid, right? Here also we have the rows and the columns, as you see. To understand it better, we have to first write the question. how frequently do you study online? Do you study online? Study online through the following modes. Let's give it this way, okay? Through the following modes. Let's give them options. For example, WhatsApp. Under the rows we are giving them, right? WhatsApp, Google Meet, let's make Zoom, for example. These are just assumptions, okay, right? So Zoom and then Google Classroom, right? Now, under the columns, as our question says, how frequently, we give them the options, for example, often, sometimes, seldom, and never. Now let's make it a required question. Okay. Yeah. So we've made it a required question. So now all the varieties of questions have been demonstrated. There's only just one option, look over here, this upload, file upload, where here you can just upload a complete file, right? That's one option that is there. So we've just explained short answer type, paragraph type, multiple choice type, okay, everything, checkbox grid, multiple choice grid, everything we've explained here. Linear scale, all the categories have been explained. Now, before I move on to the next part, let us take a preview of the questionnaire that we have just created. Let's have a preview. When we click on that eye on top of the right-hand side of the page, we get that. This is how it's going to appear to your respondents. See? We click on next. We click on next. And now this appears. The first part of the questionnaire appears. Now, just keep one thing in mind. Since all the questions here, I have made them mandatory, you cannot click on next and see the next page unless and until you fill it up, fill all the portions up. So let's just provisionally fill up this questionnaire just for the sake of it, and so that we can turn on to the next page and take a look at what we've done. So I'm just filling it up, the gender, the name of school, and the type of school. Just provisionally I'm doing it, right? So that you can have a look at it. Let's make it siblings and the class and all. Okay. Now we click on next. Now see, there's this pencil mark here on the right hand side. Have a look at this. This mark is basically meant to edit. If you want to make any changes to your questionnaire at this stage also, you have the option of doing the same. So this pencil mark gives you that facility to make changes and to edit your form at this stage as well, because you're taking a preview of this, right? So now, just a minute. We click on next. Now the next page opens. Here also, let's fill it up provisionally. Do you like to study? Let's write yes, or how long? Maybe 30 minutes. And who helps you? Let's make mother, father, tutor, school teachers, or maybe somebody might write no one, or maybe choose one. If you were given an opportunity to change what would you change in what change would you bring in your school? So let's write, I would abolish exams. That's the first thing I would love to do. I would abolish exams. Right? Let's go to the Likert scale. Studying online has helped me. Let's mark it as strongly agree. And we go to the next question. What do you think about the following? Whether you like or dislike. Maybe online classes I like, exams I dislike, projects maybe I like, and co-curricular activities I like, homework I dislike. Whatever it is, I'm just typing it provisionally. This is just to show an example. How frequently do you study online through these modes? Maybe WhatsApp, I write often, and Google Meet, maybe I write sometimes, right? Zoom, maybe I write seldom, and Google Classroom, maybe I write sometimes. Now all the questions have been answered now. Now we can just click on submit and the file will be submitted, right? So it becomes dark. As soon as it becomes dark, that means your questionnaire has been completed and it's ready for submission. So we just take a look at this. We see how the questionnaire looks like. Have a look at this, right? Take a look at the questionnaire. Now we'll just have a look at the settings, right? I showed you earlier on the top part of the page over here, you have the settings. Beside the send option, this part is the settings. So we click on the settings. This gives me 3 categories. One is general, then presentation and quizzes. From here, you might say that collect email addresses requiring signing in, respondents can edit after submission or see summary charts. So here I don't want to click on any of them. Like if you want, you can. Like if you want them to sign into their Gmail ID and then respond, they can do that. I don't want my respondents to edit after they have submitted their questionnaire. So there are responses. So it depends. Like I don't want to make any changes to this. So I just let it remain the same. I go to the next thing, that is presentation. Over here, you have 3 options: show progress bar, shuffle question order, and show link. Now here you can click shuffle question order in case you want, so that you can just, if you want to change the order of questions, if you click here in the settings part, then you can drag and drop the question. So here I don't want to do that. I don't make any changes. The quizzes part is make a quiz, so I don't need to make any changes over here. You can do according to your requirements. So now this part is over. Now let's click on the 3 dots where it says more. Okay. Here we have different options. We can make a copy, we can delete, we can get a pre-filled link, we can print, add collaborators. We'll explain that. Okay. Add collaborators, script editor. We have several options, right? Now let's click on the send, simple send, and see what happens. Now, under the send option, you get 2 types of ways by which you can send the questionnaire. First is via email, wherein you type in the email ID of the respondent, and you just send the form as an attachment to the email. So let's provisionally type an address, an email ID over here, and we have to click on this part over here. See here, include form in email. Just click on that, and then you click on, this is done, we click on send. When we click on send, this is gone, this goes off, right? So please, somebody is unmuted, please mute. The second option is link. We send it via link. That is, when we click on that icon, we get a link. Now look at this link here, which is very big. Now we just click on shorten URL, and we make the link smaller. Now we can copy paste the link and paste it to our Facebook page, or we can paste it anywhere, WhatsApp or any social media, from where we can tell our respondents to access this on a bulk or on a large scale, on a large number. We can do that. So the send form, these are the 2 options under the send form, right? Now let's click on responses. We have no responses as yet because we have not yet distributed the questionnaire. So before we click on that, let's make some thematic changes. The questionnaire looks very drab. Let's make it interesting to look at because it's meant for children. So keep that in mind. So let's make it colorful and interesting. We can choose images. See, there are lots of sections here: work and school, illustrations. Let's select this just kids part because our questionnaire is for children. So we just select, let's select one photograph, one picture from there. Okay, let's select that, right? And we just click on insert. Right? So when we click on insert, this image comes up. See, it looks very nice. And by default, the color combinations have also changed. Now, if we want, we can change the theme color also. Whatever we want, we can do. Theme color, background color, font style. There are different options. We can keep on changing them as per we require. So there are different options. We can just try out the various options and see which one works for your questionnaire, which one looks good for on your questionnaire. So let's try out different options. This is dark. Okay. This doesn't look very bright. So what we do is let's make it a little brighter. Yeah, this looks bright now. And then we click on the background color. Yes, so now this looks quite bright and it's going to be attractive for the children. Now we've kept the basic font. If you want, we can also have the playful font for the children, but for the sake of it, we've just kept it as basic. You can change the font the way you want. So now that our questionnaire is ready, let's take a preview of it. Just see, this is how your questionnaire is going to appear. This is how it's going to appear. See, now the appearance of the questionnaire has completely changed. See, it looks so nice. You'd love to respond to this, right? Let's close this window. Now, once we send the questionnaire, we shall get the responses back. Now, I have just saved, I've just prepared an online questionnaire and I have distributed it so that I can illustrate it here. How the responses come in and how we store the responses and how the responses look like. So I just click on to my Google Drive and I open the questionnaire. This is a questionnaire I provisionally prepared just for demonstration here. So we click on this responses part and just look how the responses come. There are three sections: summary, question, and individual responses. So on the summary page, you get all the each question test item is represented graphically through a pie chart or a bar graph or a column. So have a look at this. This looks very interesting. On each and every, even the long answer type question, paragraph type of questions, the open-ended questions, they've all been recorded. So I received 19 responses, which is written over here, as I said. So we go to the next section. This one says how many responses each person has given. Now we can govern that through our settings, how many responses one can give. Now the third part gives us each individual's response to each and every test item. That is individual. Now we move back to the summary part once again. Now let's click on the three buttons on the top. From here, we can download responses, we can get email notifications when we get responses, and we can from here create a spreadsheet. Now what's a spreadsheet? It's a complete Excel sheet format of the responses, which is a very tedious task which we all had to do during our PhD days. We had to enter each and every data on the Excel sheet, which was a very, very tedious task. So we have just created the spreadsheet. This is how it looks. See, all the details have been recorded under this Google Sheet. And this is not just a plain Excel sheet, mind you. This is a Google Sheet where you can share, you can collaborate, you can save it. This gets automatically saved to your Google Drive. So it's, in every sense of the term, it's become convenient for you in Excel form, right? So let's close this view. Let's click here. Now, if you want to download the responses, you just click on download the responses, and there also again you see just below on the left hand side. Yeah, just see over here. There's a zipped file which has this Excel sheet which is saved over here. A study of the attitude, you know, that this is saved. Now, if I click on that, now the same Excel sheet, the Excel file, which we call a CSV file, that will open. See, it's opened, right? We click on this, the same file will open. For the download responses, it's opening, the file is opening. Now, what we do is, yes, just remember, we don't have to enter the data, you don't have to save it, it gets auto-saved, it gets auto-recorded, auto-updated. just see the kind of convenience you have once you go online with this. All right. So now we come back again, and let's go to send option and see what add collaborators is. Collaborator is maybe you have a co-researcher working with you or preparing the questionnaire. So you just click on add collaborators and it gives you two options. Now over there you see you can either type the email address and send it to your collaborator. You can change the settings over here, settings whether they can edit it, you give them permission to edit and share, or whether you give them permission to view and comment on it only. It depends what you give them. According to your settings, they will have the right to fiddle with your file. So, so then we can just type in the email ID of the individual and we can just adjust the settings and just click on done. The email ID once it gets typed and we click on send. So when we send it, it goes to the individual collaborator's email ID. So the next option we get over here is to get the link. The same way as we send it, we just get a link. We just see it's written restricted only to people who open with this link. So we change this option over here with the settings. See, copy link is there. This is restricted mode. We make it anyone with the link can access this, right? And on the right hand side, see, it's written editors will be able to view and delete from form responses. And then this is the editor option is given. So anyone with the link can view this, right? We make it, let's make it restricted. So this is done. So this is how you can add collaborators. You can copy link and send the link to your collaborator through WhatsApp or email or whatever. And you can give the person the right to collaborate in your research. So now that this is done, collaboration part is done. On the right hand side, let's check it out. The responses, this is done. So now the online questionnaire, you see, it spares you from a lot of labors. So the data is auto updated, you get email notifications, you get all the things adjusted according to your convenience, so that it serves your purpose. You don't have to individually go manually and distribute questions. So let's come back to our questionnaire, which we had created. So this is the questionnaire that we had created. It looks nice and good now. And it's attractive. So now we can automatically send this. And now we cannot download this entire questionnaire except in PDF form, okay? Because it's an online mode. So it will be saved in your Google Drive. It will look like this online. But once you have to download it to your PC, you have to get it. You have to make it a PDF mode and you can download it. So that's where I can believe this presentation has more or less come to an end. And I hope that all of you have benefited from this and all of you have understood what I have tried to say, though there was paucity of time. So I just could not tell you many things together, but I've tried to make it as simple as possible. And I really hope that this presentation is going to be helpful for you. So thank you all of you for listening to me. I'm just now stopping to share this file. I'm getting back to the mode now, in case anybody has a question.
Ma'am, have you completed your session?
Yes, please. I have completed my session.
Okay.
Hope everybody has
okay, thank you, ma'am. Now it's open for question answer. Please, participants, come from front and you can ask your questions to ma'am. Or you can write in chat box as well.
There's one thing I just want to clarify. In case this was a long time step-by-step thing, so you just have to see it, and it was very difficult to record it. So don't worry, I'm going to upload this again on YouTube, so you can get an access from there, from my YouTube channel as well. This will be part by part uploaded in steps, so you can get it from there as well.
Okay, ma'am, please give
okay.
Please give us link of YouTube channel so that the participants can get the YouTube link.
I don't remember my link, or you can type my name on the on YouTube and you can find my channel, I believe. I've tried to
Okay,
incorporate a few educational materials over there. So let's see. You can get it over there. So those of you who didn't get a chance to write down, don't worry. It's going to help you. You're going to get it from there. I hope it was a helpful session for you. Anybody would like to interact, would like to ask me something, or would like to say something about it? Let's see. Oh, there are many thanks. Thank you so much. So many thanks. Even I was delighted to see this medium, because I have conducted research through such a tedious mode. We didn't have this online questionnaire at that time, so we had to manually distribute the questions, and we had to enter the data one by one on Excel sheet. So this has become also simple now. So even now at home during lockdown, you can sit down and you can prepare your questionnaire, and research can continue. I hope you could understand. Can this Google form be accessed from Gmail? Yes, of course it can be accessed from Gmail. You have to, it's better, if you have a Gmail account, you just open a Gmail account, because these facilities which are available on Google, these are more accessible if you can have a Gmail account. So it's better you have a Gmail account, right? So you may have other IDs. You just keep one provisionally here, right? So anything
they are
else?
asking for PPT also, ma'am. If it is possible, please share.
It's not
They are
possible.
asking for PPT.
It's impossible to give a PPT because it's a continuous thing. So it's just impossible to give you a PPT because so many slides. I mean, it's going to be so stupendous. So it's a video. This video presentation is, I think, can do justice. Like, one after the other, I could show you the steps. A PPT is very difficult for me. Maybe for some other topic, I'm going to do that. How to
Yes.
marks upload on MS Excel? I just don't understand how to marks upload to MX Excel. What marks are you talking about? Poritosh, you've tried to say what marks? This is, are you trying to say the score? Are you trying to say the score? Scoring is a different category altogether, dear. This is just to prepare and to distribute. Analysis will come secondary. Okay, your Excel sheet has the responses, and from there you have to do the coding, and from on Excel sheet, and that's how you can do the scoring part. That's a different methodology altogether, and you have to synchronize it with SPSS. So that's a different method. Okay. Somebody has already subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else you want to say? Anything else? Please repeat your YouTube channel. You just type my name. Just type my name, my full name. It will come. Okay. You won't get it right now. I'll upload it sometime. Okay. So I think I'll just now just give it over to the organizers. Shamusri, thank you so much. Like to conclude, or is anything else you would like to say?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your nice.
I'm so thankful you're there, and I'm so happy that you're there. I'm so thrilled. You've been watching this. This is the real reward for me for the session. Ma'am has also been watching this. It's just wonderful. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am is trying to say something. Ma'am, you unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Okay.
I said it is a reward for me too, to see my student perform so well.
You don't know, ma'am, I'm how thankful that you're still there and you're just watching me. So rewarding, so reassuring for me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Poilan, and thank you, Shamusri, your college and your principal. I'm just deeply indebted to them for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this workshop. Thank you so much. Please give my regards to Principal, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, yes, sure, ma'am, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, ma'am, for your. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for your nice deliberation and very relevant topic for nowadays. Because in this pandemic situation, all of you know that we cannot go outside and we cannot collect data face-to-face mode. So in this situation, it's very helpful for us. I feel all the participants, you have enjoyed this session a lot, and you have learned specifically how to create Google form, because all of us, even you have filled up the Google form for registration in this international workshop. But how to create Google form, it was very much necessary to know. So I think it has some effect that you have learned something from her deliberation. So thank you, Shoirindri ma'am, that you have managed to come here from your busy schedule, and you have taught us very in a good way, in a lucid manner, in a video context. It was delivered in a very minutely that all the participants have observed, and if they wanted to learn, they can learn very well. It was so good. So thank you once again. And now this is the time to conclude the session. So now I would, after thanking the resource person, the two resource persons, first resource person was Dr. Devashree Banerjee ma'am, and second resource person was Dr. Shoirindri Sen ma'am. I'm thankful to both of you that you have managed to come from your busy schedule, and we have learned a lot from you. And thanks to my principal of my college, Dr. Uma Ghosh, Principal Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya, for organizing and encouraging for organizing such wonderful workshop on research methodology. Thanks to Shumita Chaudhuri, Mrs. Shumita Chaudhuri ma'am, for the TIC, Poilan College of Education, for coordinating the program. Thanks to me, the convener, and thanks to the joint convener, Shubhadeep Mojumdar, for his introduction part. He was very, even being very sick, he managed to come almost every day. Thanks to him also. Thanks to you, Dr. Praktita Vishwas ma'am, because without you, we cannot organize such a wonderful workshop. You have helped us in every context, let it be technical support or other support. You have helped us in every context. And last but not the least, I'm thankful to every participants for your patience hearing. And if those who have not joined Zoom, they are also watching in YouTube live also. And there are many participants who have joined YouTube live. I am really, really thankful to all of the participants that you have enjoyed this session a lot. And tomorrow, just 2 days left, I think you will come tomorrow, and the last day, the 21st and 22nd, that you will come to the last 2 days for watching this international workshop. Tomorrow we will have Ajit Mondal sir and I'll check who is another person. The list you have, I cannot open it now. List we have. Please don't miss the session. Tomorrow we will see.
Shamasri,
Yes.
Tomorrow we are having Dr. Sushmita Bhattacharya of the Department of Sociology, Calcutta University, and she is going to speak on media methodology, which is a very important research area. And then we have Dr. Ajit Mondal, who is the Assistant Professor of West Bengal State University. He is going to speak on a very important topic, that is referencing and APA style, which is also very interesting. So we are having these two speakers tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am, for reminding me. Just for a while, I just forgot the name. Thank you, Praktita ma'am. So the dear participants, don't miss the session for tomorrow. Hope you will enjoy again, and hope to see you at 4 p.m. We will meet again. So thank you all. I am concluding my session, leaving this session right now. Thank you.